This famous cartoon character was created by one of these three men. What is your name, please?
My name is Hank Ketchum.
My name is Hank Ketchum. My name is Hank Ketchum.
Only one of these men is the real Hank Ketchum. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Sally Ann Howes, Johnny Carson, and Betty Furness on To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collyer.
Thank you very much. And welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Anacin, the headache remedy with a special combination of ingredients to relieve pain, fight depression, calm jittery nerves. Anacin. Well, Sally, Betty, nice to have you both back with us tonight.
Thank you. Good to be here, Bud.
Good evening, the rest of you panel. Hiya, Bud. Will you open up your envelopes and take out your affidavit cards for the first time and follow along as I read? I, Hank Ketchum, am a cartoonist. On September 11th, 1946, a son was born into the Ketchum family. He became the inspiration and source of material for a comic strip which is now syndicated in over 700 papers here and abroad. He is also the subject of a television series which has been a hit on the CBS network for the past 3 seasons. I am the creator of Dennis the Menace. Signed, Hank Ketchum. Three gentlemen to start our festivities this evening, and you heard them all claim to be, as I heard them, Hank Ketchum, the real-life father of Dennis the Menace, I guess you could call him. Let's start this first round of questioning with Johnny Carson. Johnny?
Thank you, Bud. Number 2, what is a storyboard?
Beg your pardon?
What is a storyboard?
This is where we put in the story after you've drawn your cartoon.
Number 3, who was the creator of Dagwood?
Chick Young.
Number 1, who is the creator of Maggie and Jiggs?
George McManus.
I'm getting nowhere fast. Number 3, is it true that occasionally Dennis's father appears in the strip and resembles the creator?
It is.
So the father in the strip would look like you?
Right.
Or...
Betty.
That got me mixed up, right? A lot,
I
John.
had a thought there going.
Number 1, what is the name of the man who played Mr. Wilson on the television show?
Who played Mr. Wilson?
Played.
That was Mr. Kearns.
Number 3, what is Al Capp's hometown?
I've forgotten.
Number 2, who originated Maggie and Jiggs? Oh, you asked that one. Mr. and Mrs.
I've forgotten.
You're young, aren't you? Number 3.
Tom.
Oh, thank you, Bud. Number 1, Betty asked a question of mine about Mr. Wilson. Did you mean to imply that 2 people had played it? Number 1?
No.
Would you tell me, number 1, where the TV episodes of Dennis the Menace are filmed?
They're filmed on the West Coast.
Do you know specifically where?
At Screen Gems.
Do you know where at Screen Gems?
I don't know. It's in the Columbia Studio facilities, I believe.
Do you know number 2 by any chance?
It's in CBS Television City.
Number 3, what specific area of California are these filmed? Do you know?
Hollywood.
Thank you. Number 3, number 1, do you normally wear glasses? I'm sorry about the number 3, Paul. Forgive me. Number 1, do you wear glasses normally?
Yes, when I'm working.
Thank you.
Sally Ann.
Number 1, who writes Peanuts?
Mr. Schultz.
Peanuts? And number 2, who is Snoopy?
Who is Snoopy?
Who is Snoopy?
You are.
You are.
I
I didn't say it, Betty did.
am. Number 3, which papers abroad in England do you have your cartoon published?
London Sunday Pictorial.
Sunday Pictorial.
Right.
Number 2, What is Al Cap's cartoon?
Al Cap is Little Abner.
Number 1.
That's all the time we have, panel. So we've done rather well here. Some of you act relieved. You don't have to ask
Anybody
any more
think I read
questions.
cartoons?
But in any event, let's make up our minds now on the basis of the evidence we have elicited and mark your ballots. Without consultation, will you vote now for number 1, number 2, or number 3? Of course, our team of challengers will get the usual $250 for every incorrect vote. Are we all set? All ballots marked?
I got something.
Okay. Tom, for whom did you vote?
Oh, that's a 1. That's a number 1. And the reason I asked number 1 if he wore glasses was because I think he most favors the father of Dennis the Menace, of course, in a stylized way. I mean, he's not stylized, but the cartoon character is. They were all beautifully brief, though, I must say, again.
Sally Ann, your vote.
Well, I vote for number 3 because he looks so serious. And I think that if anybody laughs at their own material, they'll never get a cartoon down on paper.
Johnny, what about your choice?
I go along with Tom's reasoning. He most resembles Dennis the Menace's father. And number 2 didn't know the wonderful dog in Peanuts, Snoopy.
Betty.
Yes.
Well, I voted for number 2. I'll tell you the truth, I didn't know who drew most of those cartoons either that I was asking about. But number 2 looks like he's the father of some devil, and it could be Dennis the Menace.
All right. There we have the votes in now, and you heard the way our minds are made up, at least. Let's see whether we can justify them as we learn which one of these 3 gentlemen is, in real life, the real-life father of Dennis the Menace. So will the real Hank Ketchum please stand up? Oh, boy. Thank you, sir. Like our 2 fellas came through on that one. I guess they read the comics more than the girls do.
I must confess I don't read them.
Well, that'll open up a whole new life for you now.
I will now.
Number 2, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
My name is Jerry Amatrani, and I'm an electronic computer salesman for Addressograph Multigraph.
Thank you, sir. And number 3, your real name and what you really do, please.
My name is Herbert Haas. I'm associated with America's oldest church-produced telecast, Faith for Today.
Well, we check our score, gentlemen. We find there were 2 correct and 2 incorrect. And at $250 each, that's a total of $500 for you gentlemen from Anderson, as well, of course, as a gift package of the fine products from the makers of Anderson. And we thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed your visit. We certainly enjoyed having you here, and we'll read your script with even more interest. Good night. God bless you. We'll meet another team of challengers in just a moment. Next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is William Conway.
My name is William Conway. My name is William Conway.
Follow along once again, if you will, panel, with your copies of this affidavit. I, William Conway, started collecting turtles when I was 10 years old, and I have been interested in wildlife ever since. Today, I find myself responsible for a collection of more than 3,000 animals. Fortunately, I have an efficient staff of some 300 to help me with the varied problems of housing and feeding. I am the director of one of the largest and most famous zoos in the world. Signed, William Conway. Very well, panel. You have heard these 3 gentlemen, all claiming to be William Conway, director of one of the largest zoos in the world. And we start this cross-examination with Tom Poston. Tom?
Oh, thank you, Bud. Number 1, looks a little like Clark Gable, doesn't he? Look at that handsome fella. Number 1, when Woody Loper specialized in wildlife, what was his choice? Do you know? Besides girls, of course, but I mean in animal wildlife.
I don't know.
You know Mr. Loper? Do you know Mr. Loper, number 2?
I don't know him.
Number 3?
Never heard of him.
Well, tell me, number 3, what kind of cats live in old mountains, in mountains?
Which particular mountain?
In the western part of the United States.
I'm afraid I don't know. I'm with the Durban Zoo.
In Africa?
In Africa, yes.
Oh, thank you. Do they have any old mountains in Africa?
They have no cats there.
In Africa?
In the mountains.
Not the kind of cats we have here in the States, anyway. Sally Ann.
That's unfair to come to me after cats, my goodness. Number 1, where is your zoo?
My zoo is the Bronx Zoo, here in New York.
Oh. Number 2, what is the name of the zoo in London?
That's the zoo of the Royal Zoological Society.
Number 3, what is a red-eared turtle? Where does it come from?
The Galapagos Islands.
Where are the Galapagos Islands from? Where are they?
In the Indian Ocean.
Where?
The Indian Ocean.
I see, thank you. Oh.
Johnny.
Number 2, where do elephants go when they die?
This has been a great question for many years. I suspect they just steal away into the jungle.
Number 1, what is the gestation period for an elephant?
18 to 22 months.
Number 3, would you agree to that?
Entirely, yes. That is correct.
Number 2, what's the difference between a turtle and a tortoise?
Well, it's a rather nice distinction. Usually the tortoise has a much higher carapace.
Has a higher what?
Carapace.
Those are the islands.
Has a higher carapace.
And shorter legs.
Shorter legs and a higher carapace.
I don't want to be wrong.
What's a carapace?
The top shell of a...
Well, the top shell.
Betty.
Number 3, what is an aardvark?
It is an animal which is common in South Africa with a long nose, about 4 feet, 5 feet long, which digs and lives on ants mainly.
Its nose is 4 or 5 feet
No.
long? The whole animal?
Nose to tail, yes.
Oh, I see. Number 1, in the newspaper within the last 2 days, there was an interesting thought about turtles. What was the news item? Could you tell us very briefly what it referred to? Number
I did
1.
not see it.
Number 2, are you familiar with that news item?
I did not see it either.
And that's all the time we have, so none of us will have a chance to see it. We'll have to get to the business of looking over our ballots very carefully and voting. So will you do so now, panel, without consultation, and vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3? Aardvarks all marked?
My carapace is a little high.
All set. Is that everybody? Okay. Tom, which one did you select this time?
I was quite distressed about his answer about cats never being in mountains in Africa, because I remembered Hemingway's Snows of Kilimanjaro, where there was a leopard found, frozen carcass. Then I realized that was at least some kind of fiction, so maybe he knows better than Ernest.
Sally Ann, your vote, please.
Well, I must say, I did want to vote for number 2 because I love the way he pronounced the zoo in London. It sort of brought back a few memories. But I couldn't resist those little islands in number 3.
Johnny, your vote, please.
What were those islands, really? I voted for number 2 because of the difference between a turtle and a tortoise, which has a higher...
Yes, it sure does.
Rating.
All right. Betty.
I can say Galapagos Islands, but I voted for number 1. Because I think he looks like a fellow who could be the head of the Bronx Zoo, that's all.
All right, 3, 3, 2, and 1 we have worked up there, and that's our score as it stands now to see who is right and who is wrong, as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the real director of one of the largest zoos in the world. So will the real William Conway please stand up? Thank you very much, Joe. Just to keep the record straight, William Conway is the director of one of the largest zoos in the world, the Bronx Zoo, here in New York City. And he is, in fact, one of the youngest zoo directors in the world. Does quite a job. Busy man. Have to be young, I guess. Let's find out about our other two guests now. Number 2, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
My name is Joseph Coolidge. I'm not even English. I was born in Boston, and I'm associated with Be My Guest, an international gift and host service that operates through travel agencies.
Thank you, sir. And number 3, you garnered most of the votes. What is your real name and what do you do?
My name is Brian Winstonley. I'm First Secretary with the Tanganyika Mission to the United Nations.
And if he can say Tanganyika, you know he can say Galapagos. Let's check our score. Gentlemen, you did better. You were a little tougher on the panel. You had 1, 2, 3 incorrect at $250 each. That means your take-home pay tonight is $750 for you, as well as, of course, from Anderson, a gift package of all the fine products made by that company. Thank you, gentlemen. You gave us a lot of laughs and a good time, and I hope you shared in it, too. Good night, and God bless you. Now, panel, may I present our third team of challengers?
What is your name, please?
My name is Eileen Moseby. My name is Eileen Moseby.
My name is Eileen Moseby.
And once more, panel, may I ask you to follow along with your copies of this affidavit. I, Eileen Moseby, am in this country between assignments as a foreign correspondent. I have spent the past 3 years covering Moscow for United Press International. Those years in Moscow were exciting ones. I covered Richard Nixon's trip through Siberia. I was there during the U-2 incident and the subsequent trial of Francis Gary Powers. I reported on the space flights of cosmonauts Gagarin and Titov. I covered Khrushchev's press conferences. He referred to me as one of his Sputniks. I have written a book on my experiences and impressions. I call it The View from Number 13 People's Street. Signed, Eileen Moseby. All right, ladies, you quite comfortable? Ready to play our game? Let's remember for just a moment that we all heard these 3 ladies claiming to be Eileen Moseby, foreign correspondent, and we'll start this round of questioning with Betty Furness. Betty?
I'm afraid you won't, Bud, because I believe I am acquainted with one of the ladies, so I think I will have to disqualify myself.
Oh, too bad. Well, that will count as an incorrect vote when we come to totaling up. Thank you very much, Betty. Tom?
Thank you. Number 1, who is Ted Musel or Musel?
Foreign correspondent in Moscow.
Thank you. Number 2, what is Titov's first name? How do you pronounce his last name?
Titov, that's correct.
What is his first name, please?
It is German.
Thank you. Do you happen to know Gagarin's first name?
Oh, yes, of course, Yuri.
Thank you. Number 3, what is the hypnotism controversy over Titov's recent flight?
The hypnotism?
Hypnotism. There's some controversy about whether or not he was hypnotized. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't.
Do you know number 2?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Is that so? Number 1?
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it.
Sally Ann?
And number 1, who is the correspondent to the White House for UPI? What's his name?
Merriman Smith.
Number 2, the name of Mr. Nixon's last book. Number 3.
I've forgotten.
Number 1, what is the name of the main town in Siberia?
The main city is Novosibirsk.
Number 6. Number 2, who was first up in space, Gagarin or Titov?
Gagarin.
Number 3, number 7, question 8.
Johnny.
Number 2, who was the attorney who defended Powers during the trial in Russia?
Oh, what was his name?
That's what I asked you. You see, we ask the questions here and then you answer. Number one, can you tell me the name of the attorney here in...
Hoffman.
Can you tell me the name of the attorney here in New York who arranged for his release?
The name was Hoffman.
Hoffman?
Hoffman.
Uh-huh. Number three, why did Khrushchev refer to you as one of his Sputniks, as it says here?
Well, the word Sputnik means fellow traveler. And he meant...
Thank you.
I guess that's it. That was a fast round with a lot of laughs, and I hope you had as good a time as I did. But it's time now to get to the business of marking your ballots, so will you kindly do so, panel? Mark them now in English, not Russian. And vote, if you will, for, without consultation, number 1, number 2, or number 3. All ballots marked? All right, Thomas, which one this time?
I was really quite puzzled. I was going to vote for number 1 until she sort of stumbled on the name of the lawyer. And Mr. Musel is a UP correspondent, but he happens to be stationed in London at the time. Now, he could be ex of Moscow and Russia, but I voted for number 3.
Sally Ann, your choice.
Well, I did go for number 1 because she knew the name Merriman Smith, which I didn't think everybody would know. And also, she looks like my idea of a woman correspondent. Is that the right word? Yes.
Okay.
I guess we'll do. Yes.
Johnny.
They're all very well informed, but I'm going to go for number 1. She seemed to have the most information on this.
Okay, Betty, you disqualified yourself, so that will count as an incorrect vote when we tally up the score. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we come again to our denouement, so to speak, as we learn which one of these ladies is the real foreign correspondent. So, will the real Eileen Moseby please stand up? Yes, Tom, quickly, we haven't much time.
One question. May I ask you, please, the meaning of the title?
Yes,
You didn't get around to
I
that.
was dying to know that.
Number 3. Number 6. What's the meaning of your title?
You mean the title of the book?
Yes.
Well, it was the address in Moscow where I lived, and it also was the UPI Bureau. I lived in the office.
All right, let's find out about the other two now. Number 1, you got the most votes. What is your real name, and what do you really do?
My name is Jean Spencer. I'm an account executive with Doyle Day and Burnback Advertising Agency.
And a good one, Alwyn. Number 2, may we have your real name and what you do?
My name is Jane Levy, and I'm just a wife and mother.
Don't say just a.
Come from Jamaica, West Indies.
That's an important job. Very well, in checking the score, we add, of course, Betty's in as an incorrect vote, and that means for a total of 1, 2, 3 incorrect at $250 each, and that's a grand total of $750, ladies. Not bad for an evening's fun, as well as the gift package from Anderson of the fine products made by their company. We thank you so much for being with us. Hope you enjoyed it. Good night. God bless you. I'm afraid that's all we have time for, but it always goes too fast for me. Good night to you, panel.
Good night.
Good night, Bud.
Bud Collier saying good night from Anderson and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. To Tell the Truth has been brought to you tonight by Dristan Nasal Mist, the new decongestant spray for relief from miseries of sinus congestion and head colds. This is Johnny Olson saying goodnight for To Tell the Truth. This program was pre-recorded.